The extreme heat's forcing outdoor athletic practices in Louisville to either start earlier or later in the day. But school districts are not the only ones affected. Vendors for Louisville's popular international festival called Worldfest are also setting up for the event this week under the sun. Our Jose Alonso and photojournalist Emma Gefter explain the measures they're taking to stay cool.
One thing vendors setting up for the annual Worldfest are keeping in mind are the rising temperatures throughout the week. Most of them work in the food industry where they are already surrounded by a hot environment. Employees at Enrique's Place, a traveling vendor from South Florida, know about the heat all too well, especially when they fire up the grill.
Actually, when we're cooking and we're inside the booth and everything's, we have all the steam tables on and we have the grill on and we got the flat grill on, all the vapor inside the tent. All that heat, it feels way hotter than what it normally is. So if it's 100 degrees out there, inside there, it feels like, it's like literally like Hell's Kitchen.
Project manager Brian Enrique Quintero says they focused on hydrating this week and plan to take turns switching positions when it's time to open.
When you come here, you're invested in it. Doesn't matter if it's rainy, doesn't matter if it's sunny, your money's invested. And you got to try to get back what you put in.
The high temperatures are also a concern for outdoor sports like football, where you can see the heat waves coming off the turf. On Monday, JCPS started asking schools to change their practice times.
We do have the flexibility of having practices at different times, so we're waiting for that sun to set and have it a little bit later, or early morning practices are available for student athletes.
The school district is also using tools to help measure how hot it gets. Athletic trainers are using this special thermometer, and pellets are scattered across to help cool down the turf.
Turf fields can get pretty hot and melt cleats and things like that, so we did the extra expense of adding the cooling beads in.
As sports schedules move around this week, Worldfest is still set to kick off with a hot start this Friday. In Louisville, Jose Alonso, WHAS11 on your side.
Mayor Craig Greenberg says there will be emergency responders, of course, at Worldfest if anyone needs assistance. He also encourages attendees to bring water and stay hydrated. And since the heat index is higher than 95 degrees, Operation White Flag remains in effect. Right now, that means anyone experiencing homelessness can stay inside one of the shelters listed there on your screen as long as it stays this hot. Wayside Christian Mission on Jefferson Street and the Salvation Army Center of Hope on South Brook are both open to anyone. St. Vincent de Paul on South Jackson Street is for men only. And as a reminder, dozens of spots across the metro, which act as cooling centers this time of year, are open. You can find them at the city's 8 Neighborhood Place locations, 14 Metro Parks and Rec Community Centers, and 16 Louisville Free Public Library sites. For a full list of the cooling centers, you can head online to WHAS11.com. Officials are working to determine what caused this fire at a building in Portland. Louisville Fire said it broke out around 7 last night on Portland Avenue, just off the interstate near LaPorte Park. It took more than an hour to get it under control, during which time utility crews were forced to shut off the power to the street. Part of that 2-story building eventually collapsed.
It's not a happy occasion. It's sort of a mourning thing because we all love these old buildings and we love this community because of these old buildings, among many other reasons. But yeah, I'm just sort of like, my house is going to be hot because there's no power, so I thought I would stay outside. There's a little bit of a breeze, hang out for a bit, see my friends.
That fire happened near one of Louisville's oldest family-owned businesses, the Shaheen's department store, which was established in 1922. LFD said it is too early to tell how far the damage spread and if that building was impacted. Louisville Fire is also looking into what caused this fire on Haywood Avenue, a couple blocks from Churchill Downs. Captain Donovan Sims said crews responded around 3 yesterday afternoon. Everyone who was inside when the fire began made it out safely. No injuries reported. The U.S. Department of Justice has reprimanded Louisville and Kentucky again. The DOJ believes the state is violating the Americans with Disabilities Act in Jefferson County. Now, according to the DOJ findings, officials are unnecessarily separating people with mental illness in psychiatric hospitals. The Assistant U.S. Attorney General said many of those people should receive community-based care instead. Officials said the lack of services means people and police officers routinely respond to mental health calls. To change that, the Justice Department says it is working closely with the state to implement permanent housing support and mobile crisis support. Former Shively mayor and current Kentucky State Representative Beverly Chester Burton has been charged with a DUI for a second time. According to an arrest citation early yesterday morning, Metro police officers witnessed Chester Burton drive into the wrong lane and then stop her car, disrupting traffic. She then apparently backed up into the correct lane and parked her car in the road. Officers said they smelled alcohol in the car, and Chester Burton refused field sobriety test. The Democratic lawmaker has been serving as District 44's representative since the beginning of last year. Before that, she'd served as the mayor of Shively. Chester Burton was also arrested for DUI back in 2020. She's out of jail on bond and will be back in court on Friday. Police arrested a man in connection to a deadly stabbing last month in the Newburgh neighborhood. According to that arrest citation, 35-year-old Marcelino Martinez is accused of killing a woman he was dating. The night of the incident, the two were in an argument that turned physical, and that woman was stabbed multiple times and died at the hospital. Martinez's bond is set at $75,000.